Lighting of lamps in Indian culture is indication of victory of light over darkness, truth over untruth, and victory of good over evil. As you know, festivals originate from mythology, and mythology is full of stories. So I tell you a story. The story of Ganesha, elephant-headed god, scribe of storytellers, and his brother Kartikeya, the warlord of God. Both brothers decided to go for a race 3 times around the world. Kartikeya leapt on his peacock and flying over the oceans, over the continents, over the mountains, 1 time, 2nd time, and 3 times around the world. But Ganesha simply walked around his parents, said once, twice, thrice, and I won. Kartikeya asked, how come? Ganesha said, you flew around the world, and I did not flew, I walked around my world. To understand their thought process and why they behave differently, we have to understand the difference between the world and my world. The world is subjective, scientific, logical, and behavior based, while my world is emotion, thought, belief, and the myth we live in. Different cultures of the world have different understanding of the world. Our ancestors have transferred their thought process about the nature in the form of stories, symbols, and ritual from generations to generation. And when different cultures meet each other, like we are meeting each other, if we have different subjective belief and other people have different subjective belief, I can think that your subjective belief is fake, it is superstitious. That can lead to clash of civilization, like one happened at the bank of river Indus, now in Pakistan. This river lends its name to India, Indus. There, a Greek conqueror, Alexander, met a man so-called Gymnosophist. I don't know who he was. He was a naked wise man. Mostly he was a yogi. He was lying over a rock, staring at the sky towards the moon and stars. So Alexander asked him, what are you doing? Gymnosophist answered, I am understanding nothingness. Then he asked Alexander, what are you doing? Alexander said, I am conquering the world. Both of them laughed at each other. Why they behave differently, why their beliefs were different, for that we have to understand how their belief originated. Alexander, he was from Greek. His mother and his teacher Aristotle told them stories of Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. They told him about a Greek hero Achilles, who was a man of war. When he entered the war, victory was sure. When he was away from war, defeat was inevitable. He was a man of destiny. That is what you should be, Alexander. What you should not be. You should not be Sisyphus, who used to roll a rock up the hill whole day and the boulder used to come down in the night. Alexander, don't live a life which is meaningless, monotonous, mediocre. Life should be spectacular. Alexander also heard about Greek heroes like Jason, like Theseus, while the Gymnosophist heard different stories. He heard about a man called Bharat, after whose name India is called Bharata. He was also a king. He conquered the known world. Then he decided to go to the upmost mountain in the Himalayas. He reached there and he was hoisting his flag to claim that I was here first. But after reaching the peak, he saw there were countless flags of the world conquerors before him. He felt insignificant in the canvas of infinity, so he decided to become a monk. Gymnosophist also heard about heroes like Ram and Krishna. These were not two lives of two different heroes on two different adventures. These were two lives of the same heroes, because in Indian mythology, people don't live once. They die and they are born again. When the Ramayana and Mahabharata begins, when the Ram leaves the world, Krishna comes on the world. That is applicable to humans as well as to the God. That's why we have grand rituals of goddess statues are made. They are worshipped for 10 days Or you know what they do after that? They dunk it in the river because it has to end. And she will return back next year again. That cycle repeats again and again till the end of it all. In Greek mythology, this life is only once, and the deeds of all life, if they are summated, they are one. While in Indian system, the deeds of whole life, if they are summated, it's zero. Possibly in India, the zero was originated out of this theory only, who knows? Because there is infinite life. So different cultures behave differently, and their beliefs affect their behavior. If the Alexander's beliefs affected his behavior, and the gymnosophist belief affected his behavior, it was bound to affect the business they were in. What is business? Business is how the market behaves and how the company behaves. And if the belief is about that customer is God, accordingly the business people will have their behavior and the business will grow well. Over last 1 year, while studying management books, I saw there is uncanny resemblance between the ancient Western texts and the management studies. In the ancient stories, in the Western society, there is talk about poor people working in hard conditions, denied resources, till they complete the job. Then a prophet or leader comes, he talks about the promised land. They follow him. Because no one has ever heard about the promised land, they follow him through the wilderness. And on the way to the wilderness, they should have commandments, they should have rules, regulation, do's and don'ts. There are problems which are faced by the leader on the way to the promised land. Those are called non-compliance, which is common in business terminology. Similarly, in business world, we start with the problem statement, mission, vision, goals, target, processes, standard operating procedures. Then we have auditors, internal auditors, external auditors, government regulations have to be completed, and lastly we reach the promised land called profit. While in Indian system, there is not a single promised land. We have multiple lands. One is the land of Lord Indra, that is called paradise. All the desires are fulfilled there. It's a very prosperous place, but Indra is always insecure. A paradise is always under siege. There is always, it's a battleground. Because Indra says, first my need matters, then I will think of the need of the world. Second promised land is Kailash, Mount Kailash in Himalayas. Lord Shiva is there, he's a yogi. He says, I can outgrow my needs, and there is no predator, no prey there. Cynic will say it's a land for people in orange robes. Third most important place is Vaikuntha. It is a land of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu says, need of the world matters first, so that I can outgrow my hunger and my needs. He plays with the world, he engages with the world. Vishnu comes to the earth in different forms, either as a king, prince, priest, Parshuram and Buddha. In the Vaikuntha, the special thing is there is prosperity, but there is peace. So it is up to us which way we do the business. If we think about only our need, our profit, then we will have prosperity, but we will create a battleground. But if we believe in the system of thinking of the world's need, fulfilling the world need first, fulfilling the hunger of the world first, so that we can outgrow our hunger, then we can create a playground with prosperity. This ancient wisdom most likely is followed by many organizations, which we know Facebook, WhatsApp, all these things, Google, they are giving free service, creating prosperity, big value, but they are following that ancient belief. Lastly, I will talk about India. You know, India is rapidly changing. It's highly diverse, chaotic, ambiguous, but people are okay with it. Modern institutional thinking is coming in. Government is working for divestment, ease of business, opening the doors. They are working for the institutional reforms, structural changes, and free market economy. Transformation will be difficult for the leaders, but it will happen. And a new India will be created. Lastly, I will say a Sanskrit lines from Upanishad. Astoma sadgamaya, tamsoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritgamaya. From darkness, lead us to light. From untruth, lead us to truth. From mortality, lead us to immortality. Om Shanti Om. Peace, for the world peace.